until I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo,
yeah.
no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. I've been lifting in gyms for over 20 years. I hold a degree in exercise and sports science, and I've been coaching others for over 10 years. On this channel, we're all about evidence-based muscle growth or hypertrophy training. In today's video, we're going to go through my push workout, my first push workout of the week. I'm going to show you what I do, explain why I do it, and show you exactly how to execute so you can apply to your own training. So this is week 3 of a diet break or maintenance phase for me, with the goal of trying to reduce some fatigue from the diet that I was in and potentially potentiate my next diet phase if I want to sort of take it to another level. So we've been eating more, we've been feeling good. Last week was one of the better weeks of training I can remember on record, so really happy with that. Now it's about continuing on. We're here and this is mid-December, and this is the time of year that most people sort of start to drop off and things like that. And I don't think coming to the gym less in December is necessarily going to destroy your gains for your life. But I think the attitude of kind of coming into the holiday season and thinking, oh, I'm just going to go to the gym less, I think what that represents is probably something that's more insidious. It's more bad than people think. It's like an attitude of like, I really don't care or like this thing very much. I'm only in it for the outcome. And if we're at the December period, it's like, oh, I'll just take the foot off the pedal a bit, or stop going or not go as much. It represents the same person that kind of, you know, doesn't come to a gym on a planned day and then goes, I'll start again next week, or ruins their diet and says, I'll start again next week. So it's not necessarily that starting next week or easing off in December or anything like that will make your progress and destroy your progress completely. It just represents an attitude that's probably not going to lead to long-term great outcomes across the board. It probably represents something like you don't really like or have a lot of passion for what you're doing. So we want to kind of, develop that passion, develop that enjoyment, develop that kind of intrinsic motivation such that the time of year doesn't really matter and you kind of do it regardless. So that's something that I've been spieling about lately: motivation, passion, enjoyment for what we do here. And again, it's not necessarily that, you know, taking easier times, because we can plan easier times, like what we call deloads, or times where we do less. But again, just the attitude of going, it's December, it's coming in a holiday season, I don't really want to go or won't go, I'll go a little bit less or whatever it might be, just represents an overall attitude or belief that it probably won't lead to your best outcomes. And again, it just says that you probably don't really like it very much. And I think we need to develop that joy and passion for something. Anyway, let's kick things off in this push workout with our lateral delt variation. So for my push workouts, or any workout I do at the moment that involves lateral delts, I start with the lateral delts. They're going to be a big emphasis for me for the next foreseeable future. So we'll start with the lateral delt variation. And also on this day I do pull-ups. So I'm going to kick things off with a seated behind the back lateral raise with the cable machine and a straight up standard pull-up. So the pull-up, the idea there is to get some volume in for the back extra, which is something that I'm after, to see what happens when I add volume to my back. And the lateral delt, we bring this to the start of the workout to emphasize and make it such that we have the most energy for the lateral delt. So this is going to look like a bit of an unusual setup and whatnot, and I have no other justification for this other than it feels good for me, it feels effective for me, and that's that. Like, could I do dumbbell lateral raises? And there'll be someone out there that says, yeah, just do dumbbell lateral raises and train hard. I could for sure do that, but this one feels better than dumbbell lateral raises for me. Does it mean it's going to lead to better outcomes? No, but I have a justification for doing it. So firstly, I've got these cuffs. I've got this utility bench or bench sit in front of the cable machine. I've set these cable arm heights and angles such that when I sit down, it's going to be somewhat hard at the beginning and about at hand height. And what I'll do is I'll face into the cable machines. I'll slot into my cuffs. I'll quickly step over, take a seat, and then we're ready to go. So that is our lateral delt variation for today. We're going behind the back, seated, lateral raise. I've got them angled pretty close in, as in these are pretty narrow, which not all cable machines can do. So we're coming out pretty much directly against that height. So I deliberately set that height at the beginning such that our angle of lateral raises is more kind of out on this 45-degree angle versus directly out to the side. And again, I like to mix those angles up over time. But for today, we're going to go with this one. On another day or later on in the workout, we have a bit of extra volume for the lateral delt, which is a machine that goes out to the side. So they're all good. There's not one size fits all. You can mix it up over time. It makes sense that, you know, potentially different parts of our lateral delt do this versus this, all that kind of stuff. All right, let's go and quickly set up this pull-up and demonstrate this pull-up, and then we'll be into our first superset. All right, so in combination with our seated behind the back cable lateral raise, we're going to do some pull-ups / chin-ups. So this is a little superset that I've done maybe the last 4 to 6 weeks, and I just wanted to trial getting some more back work in, and this was potentially the only appropriate place to put it other than on the back or pull workouts themselves. So I'm slotting it in here to see what happens. Like, I think the thing is, yes, there might be people who either promote high volume, low volume, high intensity, low intensity, whatever they might promote. But until you kind of try it for yourself, I wouldn't tie yourself to one belief system. That sort of dogmatic way of thinking, like this is the only way, that is the only way, can really hold you back from your best progress. So you try one, it might work really well. So you think that is the best one, but you don't know what the other one could do either. So you want to tie yourself to this because you know it worked well for you, and this guy said it was good and he's jack, blah, 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 blah. But ultimately this whole process is our own experiment. There is science that goes into exercise science and weight training and volume and intensity and all this kind of stuff, but we have to run our own experiment essentially, because people within science and studies themselves are all varied, and their results are also varied. So if you look at a study, they might report the average, but the average could have been people who range from here to here. So where could you sit on this scale? It's hard to know, and to experiment potentially has some worth. All right, I'll get off my high horse, get off my soapbox here now. We're gonna go pull-ups in superset with that because they're kind of antagonist muscle groups. And yeah, getting that volume in on the pull-ups, I'm trying, or on the back, should I say, I'm trying to see if it leads to better or worse progress, see if I can recover, all that kind of stuff. I've got my straps as always to help with grip. These are called Versa grips. Very good brand, easy to use, works really well, kind of avoids any kind of grip issues, and I can focus on the muscles through the back. So 2 different grip options here. I came to this pull-up station, which is about 10 meters away from where I'm doing those lateral raises, because I can kind of customize. If some of the machines might have set widths, you can only grab onto this. Here I can go to where I want. I know I want probably just a little bit outside shoulder width, so I'll take my grip, strap into that, get them in nice and tight so once it's on, and there is no grip concern. Gently step off so we are not swinging around too much. And then we pull, stretch, pull. So if we're thinking about essentially the pull up compared to the pull down as an example, obviously the pull down has you pulling the thing down and the pull up has you pulling yourself up, but it's the same muscle group. So what we're thinking about for both of those movements is taking this part of your arm and driving it down. And that is a job of our lats, to kind of take this arm. If you ignore my forearm, it's to take this part of your arm and take it in towards different parts on your back. So instead of, once you get a handle of pull-up, sometimes it's hard when you begin, you're just thinking about pulling up. Once you get a handle, you're not just thinking pull yourself up, you're thinking pull your arm down, and that is pulling you up to kind of get that connection with the lats. Whew. All right, back to back on these. So what you'll see each time is that I'll kind of, in between sets, I'll do my lateral raise, walk over here, I'll drop my reps down in between, put my phone down, get my straps on, because I'm particular like that, get up and do my pull-up. So that itself could take 30 odd seconds, plus the exercise itself could take 30 to 45 seconds, and that gives me the break that I'm after. All right, let's go. All right, pull-ups, behind the back, cable-seated lateral raise, what a mouthful, and pull-ups done as a superset. So saving some time there, working opposing muscle groups essentially, getting that extra back volume in. Now, I guarantee that there's someone who looks at that behind the back lateral raise variation and goes, something like that. Don't do that, man. Let's just get in your dumbbells and train them hard. And like, you're probably right. You're probably right. As long as we train at a high intensity, as in like go close to failure, high intensity of effort, try really hard. Probably doesn't matter whether I do that or dumbbells. However, if you try both, when I tried both, that one feels far more effective than say the dumbbells. So for me, yes, it looks a bit funky. Yes, the setup's a bit challenging and it took a little bit of while to get in the handle on, but it feels much better. It feels like it's more effective for my lateral delta. It feels like a better setup. It feels like I can't cheat. It feels like I take the muscle close to failure, all that kind of stuff. So again, without thinking there is one way to do things, try them out for yourself and then go, oh, actually, that makes sense. Or, nah, it doesn't do any better for me. Everybody's a little bit different. You go dumbbells and they crush and they're easy to set up. You grab dumbbells, bada bing, bada boom. But just try, don't go, oh, that's dumb or that's whatever. Try it out for yourself, see if it feels effective, see if it feels good. If yes is the answer, you might consider the funky setup, you might consider trying some things. But for me, it's an easy choice because now that I've got my setup, it's quite easy to set up. It feels way more effective than some other movements, so I continue to do it. All right, I said I would get off my soapbox. I can never get off my soapbox. So now we go on to the actual pushing movements of the workout. So again, lateral delts are priority, pull-ups, extra volume, get them in at the beginning. It might affect this, but for the time being, I'm happy to affect this potentially negatively because of fatigue. And then later on down the track, when my lateral delts come up, or maybe I shift those pull-ups somewhere else, stay tuned for the next upcoming program. She's going to be good. Maybe this will come back to the start of the workout, if it becomes something that needs prioritizing. So we're going incline or medium incline Smith machine bench press. This is maybe, every gym has a Smith machine. This, can be there for you through hard times and easy times and all that kind of stuff. So I'm joking, but nonetheless, like sometimes when you go from a gym to another gym, you might get a machine that's a little bit different. It's hard to know if you're getting better at something, but Smith machines are pretty common. Usually benches are pretty common. Usually they can adjust, all that kind of stuff. So I've got an incline bench at 37 degrees, or at least that's what the bench itself. So that's why I chose this bench. You saw me roll a bench out, roll this bench back in. I chose this one because I can customize and it says the angle. This is a pretty high incline for what some people would suggest would be optimal for your chest. But again, I feel my chest whilst doing it. I tried it. It feels good for me. This is 37 degrees. There is some research that suggests anything above 30 becomes more and more anterior delt, which is the front part of your shoulder, versus a chest, which we're trying to train, or the upper chest. But I feel good with it. On other days, I do different inclines on those movements. So again, I am still getting all that in. And I find it very hard to believe that you start going above 30 and immediately your chest goes, no thanks, I'm not in on that. Anterior delt, you go to work, son. I'm more inclined to think, yeah, maybe it kind of leans towards that way, but yeah, I still feel my chest very well. I still like it, feels good, all this kind of stuff. But again, try it out. Hand position and seat setup of the bench, you got to get right at the beginning with Smith machine because it won't adjust to you because it's on these rails. So I know that I've started to kind of go 1 centimeter outside that smooth area with my thumb. Control the way down. I know that is kind of my ideal area because at the bottom, essentially my elbow is directly underneath my wrist. So we're all going to be going in the same direction, basically. We're going to push directly against resistance, which is coming straight down. Whereas if I was too far back, it would be elbows potentially this way, too far forward, elbows this way. We want it directly underneath so we can push directly against the resistance. All right. So yeah, practice that setup, but get it right. You see in the warm-up, I'm shuffling benches around, getting the height right, getting this all set. Do that at the beginning, and then once you get in there, you just get going. All right, let's get our weight on there, and let's get going. Now, there are two things every little boy dreams of growing up. Number one, to grow up to be a special boy in the eyes of a special lady. Number two, big boobies, as in we want big boobies, and specifically the upper part of the big boobie. Those are the two dreams of all boys. If you want evidence, if I say I'm an evidence-based person, that is evidence. No, I'm talking smack, just my dreams. Those were my dreams. Anyway, with all that said, we go from the incline Smith machine bench press on a steeper incline to an incline dumbbell bench press on a slightly lower incline. Doesn't matter, maybe, maybe not. I'm inclined to do it. Just to tick all the boxes, you think like if we change our position, our arm path is essentially going to be pulled in slightly different directions. And again, to get the required volume in, I could do 6 sets of that, or I could do 3 sets of that, 3 sets of this. So for me, I am inclined to do 2 different exercises. There's a small amount of research on changing exercise selection over time as far as it growing the muscle overall. So I do it. Does it absolutely matter? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, so incline dumbbells, I like this one. Some downsides to it, there's lack of stability getting it to position, all those kinds of things. The upside is the customization. You can move the dumbbells, move your position, move lots of things to kind of what feels good for you. When you get on a machine, and it's an incline machine as an example, boom, it's kind of going along that path. Maybe you can adjust the seat a touch, maybe the incline a touch, but it's limited. You can't change your hands, and if your shoulder feels shit or elbow feels shit or something feels shit on it, it's like tough titties basically. Here I can move everything to how I want, make it really, really nice. So we're going to do that. So dumbbells, I don't need too many warm-ups here because I am pretty warm, but I'll do 1 practice set as a demonstration. They come onto the lap, kick them back with you. I like to touch the inside head of the dumbbell to kind of the armpit area to know it's the same each time, and drive my humerus or my upper arm towards the center or midline. Now the other thing I like doing on this one is really getting a nice proud chest to expose the chest to the tension. I don't want to sort of cave in like this and put this back this way. I want to make it nice and proud, so I'm exposing that to a big stretch and big tension and making it all about the chest. All right, let's fulfill every little boy's dream here. Let's go. All right, chest work done, very nice. Now we go into some tricep stuff. As you progress in your weight training, muscle growth, physique, strength journey, when you start dreaming about different things you can do in the gym, then you know you're obsessed, which is where this comes in. So across time, I've done a lot of different exercises, obviously, or maybe that's not obvious. Across time, I've done a lot of different exercises. And then as you learn more and more, you kind of think back on exercises that you have done in the past and think that might be a good idea because you're further educated, and you think, oh, that might have some merit. And then you come back around to it with a new lens. Whereas you learn something, this is hindsight, isn't it? You learn something, so you change something, and then later down the track you learn other things and then you change it and stuff like that. And we're all looking for the truth, essentially. But with all that said, I'm going to do a seated overhead barbell tricep extension. Now, I have been known to very much like a cable version of this. The barbell version, what it does is it accommodates resistance, or uses accommodating resistance, in that because when we're down here, we're going directly up against gravity, and as we come up, let me get out here, as we come up, we start to go less against gravity and we start to go this way. So it's hard in the stretch position and easier in the shortened or fully, when your elbow's fully extended. So there's some theoretical merit to doing this one. I've done it with the easy bar before. I'm a big fan of sitting down to create stability so you can really just train the muscle. So we've got that as a plus, is that accommodating resistance. A potential downside is, the lack of stability of a bar, but we'll try it. And again, we'll just, add it to the memory bank, add it to our notes on our program to see if it's worthwhile. And I suppose ultimately what I'm getting at here, and what I'm always kind of getting at, is where we're always just trying to find what works best for us, and we experiment to kind of figure that out. Because not everything is answered perfectly well, and even people who are in the know or experts, again, they're not in your context and whatnot, and they aren't used. So all we can go off is principles, and if the principles make sense, then you have to put it into your own practice, and if that feels good, then you can use it going forward. So I'll do this today. If I like it, I can keep it going. If I don't like it, I can change it or not do it, or go back to the cable version of whatever it might be. So I've got this bench again, which I used for my lateral raises from before, utility bench, I think these are called. I've put it in a power rack or one of these cages like this, such that I can get this out easily and start doing the movement. And I can set this up now. If I was faced if I was the other way around, well, I suppose I could be the other way around. But again, if you were to do this like from behind you, then I think it would be quite hard to kind of come and drag it. So I've got it here, so it's really nicely lined up, where I can just do like a mini shoulder press, boom, and we're ready to go. Flex the elbow, nice deep stretch in the tricep, extend. Extend. So essentially, it's the cable version I was doing last week, but a barbell version. That's all there is to it. Don't know what weight it's going to be. I kind of thought, all right, I've been doing a skull crusher on another day. I suspect it's going to be lighter weight than the skull crusher, so they can get me a ballpark. And yes, let's figure it out and let's go for it. So you could also do this standing up, where you would get a bar and get it overhead, or use a easy bar and get it overhead. But that means, again, you have to get the weight up and overhead. Potentially there's a cost of energy there that, again, not absolutely necessary. If you've got a setup like this, you don't have to worry about that. And again, it might not matter getting that weight up overhead. As you get stronger and stronger, that gets harder and harder. So there's a reason to kind of have it set up like this if you have the available setup. Okay, quick little summary on the barbell overhead tricep extension. I think some things to keep in mind here. Got to get the setup right, got to get the position right. Bring the safeties up such that you fail, you can kind of chuck it off, chuck it back, or just bring it over and shoulder press. As well as, it is really hard down here. And for me, there has been times, over the course of my training career, if I'm doing higher volumes and things are really hard in the stretch position, getting a bit of elbow pain. This is really hard in this stretch position. If I build up to high volumes with it, maybe that won't be ideal. Or alternatively, I do a lighter weight and a higher rep range. So those are some considerations to keep in mind for the overhead barbell tricep extension. I like the seat, stability. Let's progress. All right, next up, plate loaded shoulder press. So this is an anterior delt dominated movement now. Again, there's potential, and people suggest that this is not a muscle group that needs isolating, emphasizing, because it already gets a lot of development through the pressing, bench pressing, dumbbell pressing, all those kind of things that we've done today. But I'm inclined to do one exercise, 2 sets at the moment, to kind of make sure it's a limiting factor. This is a old Nautilus machine that's been refurbished. an interesting kind of movement pattern. Almost starts as if it's starting from a position like it's going to be a chest press and then sort of comes up here. So anterior delt being a muscle that attaches to the side part of your arm and to the outside part of your collarbone, it's kind of best suited to pull your arm in towards your head. Now, if we started to kind of pull our arm across here, now that's more pecky and upper pecky. So we're arm towards the head. As the arm starts to go away from our body, like with our lateral raise variations, that then becomes lateral delt. So an interesting path, joint friendly. Resistance-wise, it's potentially not ideal for muscle growth as it gets harder throughout the movement, but again, feels good on the joints. I could do partial reps throughout. I could do partial reps at the end, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we're here, driving the arm towards the head. Control, feel that deep stretch, drive towards the head. So pulling the arm towards the head to get the most out of the anterior delt is the goal here. Pulling it in here like this. All right, let's finish the shoulders off. Actually, we're not finished the shoulders off. We've got a couple more things to go, but let's get this anterior delt ticked off. I've got a little bit extra weight to add and then we're on. Alright guys, we had a bit of issue with static while filming this. If anyone knows how to stop that from happening, that can happen from time to time, you let me know. Anyway, I've decided to do a voiceover to explain the machine lateral raise. So the machine lateral raise at this stage of the workout is intended to get a little extra volume into the lateral delt, as I did some work at the beginning of the workout, but I still require a couple extra sets. So I use the machine lateral raise because it's easy to set up, feels relatively effective. It's quite close to my other upcoming exercise, which is the crossbody tricep pushdown. So the only real consideration is the seat height for this and where you place your arm. So you kind of want to get into a position where we are sort of arm in an arm path that you feel comfortable with. So I have the seat all the way to the top. So it's as low down on my arm as possible, and it feels pretty comfy to me. Arm slightly in front of the body usually feels slightly better to me, but here I am just kind of demonstrating and feeling it out as I go, because I haven't used this machine a lot. So you simply jump on, get a feel for it, find where your arms are suited, set your seat height such that it feels good for you. Alright, a little bit extra tricep volume. So we've already done that overhead barbell extension. Big stretch through the tricep, particularly long head of the tricep. But essentially I'm just getting some extra volume into my tricep in this kind of position here, because we've already done a position like this here. That's that. You could do a push down like this, V-bar, straight bar, rope, those funky, whatever handles they call them where you don't have to hold on. This is just my variation for today. It's always felt pretty effective to me. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab one cable, reach over, grab the other cable, kind of get into a position where our arm is set such that we're angled directly against where that cable is facing. Tricep extend from there. Control, tricep extend. So arms a little bit away from the body. That might potentially line up with training the long head of the tricep in the shortened position. Long head of the tricep is passing into your scapula. So potentially that line of pull is a little bit more effective for the long head. That's a theoretical reason to do this one, but I just like how it feels. Okay, so we're going to do 3 sets between the two of these lateral raises, 15 to 20 over here, 15 to 20 even, like a highish rep range, just kind of as a finisher. And then we are done skis. These are like where you're there, your camera, where you are camera, is pretty much where that lateral raise machine. So it's 1, 2, 3 meters as I'm here, rest, jot the reps down in between, walking to the other one acts as the rest is what I'm trying to say, and then vice versa. 3 sets of each, and then we out.